Well, Jan, you arrived on this island later than normal, and you came in your own opinion, in great shape.
Yeah, it was an interesting journey. It's one of those things, having had good and bad races here. I always felt there was potential still, and that's why I wanted to try different ways and different things. And coming to Kona really early, I feel, especially these days, because everyone's coming in so early, becomes too busy. And up and down the Queen K is the magic stretch of road for us in triathlon. But let me tell you, it's the same stretch of road that you're doing every day if you're here, 3-4 weeks before. So Maui was a good choice to be just around the corner. In fact, you can see it in the background, and be in total serenity in terms of triathlon and just focus on preparing.
When you look at this event and you look at the last 2 years, the non-start, and that year you had the great 70.3 in South Africa, it must be classified as the greatest 70.3 race, where you went to the lead and pulled off a great victory. You then come here and virtually lay down how this thing's going to go down.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that I've learned from Hawaii. You can prepare as well as you want to. You can come here thinking you're the fittest guy on the planet, and it just still stays a struggle all day long. So I was optimistic and I was happy, and I think that's the basis for a good performance for me, to be content with my own training, with my own work. And I knew that's all I could do. There was nothing else. I wasn't looking to what the other guys are doing. I wasn't comparing sessions and all that kind of stuff. I was just happy with the work I'd put in, and that probably gave me the right mindset to come in here and just go for it.
So let's have a look at the day. The cannon fires, the swim takes off, first 200 metres, all went well?
All went really well. I always go where there are less people, and just generally Josh and those guys draw a bit of a crowd on the right to the start line, and I was on the left and just minding my own business, and took off well and saw the train go on the right, and I was like, oh yeah, well, this is good. Josh had made a call that he wants to break the swim record, and whether that was true or not, I was just going to judge by feel as to how the pace goes on, and managed to slide over on that train, came in about 5th, 6th position, and just slowly shouldered my way up. Not as in swam on other guys' shoulders. I didn't actually try and pull anyone back. And had a real good swim and felt good about it. And to be honest, I was real surprised we were such a small group when we came out.
Yeah, it was a small group of 6, I think, came out to the...
Yeah, 6 or 7 even, because Patrick was in there.
Yeah, was that a surprise at that stage?
It was and it wasn't, because I knew he's very hungry for this race, and I knew that he thought that I would go off the front, or would try to go off the front. And at the same time, I was kind of happy to see him there, because I knew if he's in such a small group, he's probably already overextended himself.
Interesting call. So you come out of that swim, jump onto the bike, housekeeping's done, and you hit Palani on the descent, assessing how you're feeling. And how did you feel?
Well, that was probably the only glitch in my race. I think it took me all of Palani, all of the descent, to put on my bloody left shoe. I couldn't get it right. It was
your left feet, did you?
It was the weirdest thing. That was already a first telltale story, even going up there, because in other years I've always had difficulty finding good power, good numbers to go up on even the shortest little pinches, and I knew I had normal kind of back home power to be able to just push. And Alistair and Josh at that stage went to the front and punched up the back stretch there, and I could see they were pushing a little bit more than I wanted to, but at the same time I knew I could comfortably close that gap on the way back down.
Out to the cemetery, this started, I think a group of 6 of you sort of sorted yourselves out and put a buffer between you and the chasing pack. And of course Worth was back there, Sebi was back there. You were mindful at this stage of their gap? Had you been given stats at that point?
been given stats, but someone said something along the lines of 4 minutes or something like that.
Oh,
and
right.
I was like, what are they talking? Like, honestly,
Yeah, sure.
I didn't really put too much thought into it. And after Alistair punched up Alihi Drive, and caught him on the first Ks of the Queen K again. I mean, I think he had a gap of 15 seconds or something like
sure.
that. I went past and pretty much sat there for the next, I think, hour, just at the front, just holding my numbers and trying to keep the pace solid. Actually, feeling quite good.
Were you getting reports that the group was coming at you, but not really eating into your lead in a big way?
I think, as you know, in professional Ironman racing, the splits you get are few and far between. And I don't think we got any splits before kilometre 40 or 50 maybe. So it took quite a long while.
Were you mindful of the cloud cover? Were you mindful that, hang on, this is not a bad day. It's relatively still at this point, a little bit of breeze, but it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I knew that when it's cloudy in the morning and it's rainy in the morning,
Sure.
you know it's going to be humid in the afternoon because the clouds don't stay around. And when all that moisture evaporizes off the tarmac, it was going to be humid. And humidity, I think, is more of a limiting factor even than heat, because your sweat rate obviously doesn't work as well anymore. But it was definitely one of those days where I knew it's a good day by Hawaiian terms.
A couple of times there you missed bottles on a few of the stations, and there was a couple of times there the back carriage was empty with no bottle. Were they concerning moments to you at that stage, or you just sort of settle down and just wait for my next opportunity to refuel?
Well, the thing is, I got my special needs bag even in Harvey, and the good thing is I had all my energetic requirements at all times. So the water I was only taking on more to cool down and to have a mouth rinse or something like that. It really was, it wasn't that tragic, because really the energy is what it's all about. Of course, you got to keep hydrated and all those things, but it was an extra. And that's why, I was probably a champion at missing bottles yesterday. But at the same time, imagine you're coming into an aid station at 40, 50 clicks an hour, and there's a bottle with condensation on the outside, and it's just, then I had some, I had a bit of like pawpaw ointment on my fingers, and it was a slippery affair.
So once you turn off the Queen K, how far, or did you hear on the way up to Harvey that Langer had been withdrawn from the race?
Yeah, it must have been about maybe after 100 Ks or something that they said Langer pulled out. I mean,
100 you found out?
Yeah, it was quite late.
Way
but, I mean,
after the turn at Harvey?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, they just said it, and at that stage, I mean, it was becoming statistical. I knew he had over 10 minutes already, and I remembered scenes from Frankfurt, and that's with Patrick. You just know he's either going to have a great day and go out and smash everybody, or he's not going to feature.
So coming back from Harvey, there was a bit of a launch by Tim O'Donnell. He actually goes bang, and at the same time, Alistair, unbeknownst to you most probably, punches.
Honestly, it definitely wasn't a launch. He just came by, and it was the first time we see T.O., and T.O. simply took a turn, because between Maurice Clavel, who in between was riding half an hour in the front, I think, I hadn't seen anyone else at the front. I'd spent a big part of the race, and T.O. came by, and he was holding pace, if that. And I think it was totally fair. Then eventually I looked around and I saw Alistair was gone. One of the guys came by. I verified whether he had a puncture, because I saw he had a slow leak earlier, and I'd asked him about it, and he said he was fine. The guy said to me, he's changed wheels. He's on his way back. He's almost back there.
Right.
So, next thing I know, he was back on and back to business.
Now at that same time, the wind has really picked up in that part of the course. It had been quite not so strong early on, and then all of a sudden, just as we turned there, she was really starting to blow.
Yeah, on the way up to Harvey already, it was definitely getting windy and gusty, and sort of had a few moments which, definitely signaled that the wind could be picking up, and there could be some very fast and some very slow stretches. But all in all, I think it was a the conditions were still obviously favourable
Yeah, sure.
of doing a decent split.
Were you comfortable at this point still? Well within your numbers?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Honestly, like yesterday, I genuinely felt good pretty much all day. And I mean, an Ironman, almost 8 hours of racing.
Sure.
Those days don't happen, and it's still good.
On that return leg, you get the chance to do your housekeeping and see who's who. Were you paying much attention, or you were quite confident in your race pace that, hey, if they come up to me, they're going to have worked pretty hard to get to us?
Yeah, I definitely had some in the tank. I was actually, thinking and trying to do the maths, because every time we got a split, it was Cameron Worth, Keenley, and then Stein and Sanders, and it was always that order. So I knew those boys were sitting on, and Cameron, as he does, drags everyone to the front, and I was like, geez, did I hand out my phone number? And he was just handing out free invitations to the party. And I was like, dude, seriously, make them work. Yeah, it was really, then sort of heading to kilometer 80, 90, 100, where I was like, you know what, I'm still feeling good here. Pace was really dropping, and I was like, you know what, I think I might just give this a go.
Okay.
And see, because I felt confident in being able to maintain the gap at that point. They were coming, but they weren't coming fast, and I generally know that the last 40k of an Ironman on a bike are kind of a strong point for me.
So you launched?
Yeah, I launched going up that little pinch sort of towards the airport, and it felt good, put my head down, because of course here there's nothing on the road, you can just put your head down and literally look at the white line in the corner of your eye and just go. And pretty much instantly I saw T.O. drop back. Alistair was on my wheel at that stage, and then we went through an aid station. Managed to grab a bottle this time, but I literally grabbed it out of my tuck and just took it in, poured it over and put the rest in. And I could see that Alistair was taking longer on the aid stations. And then I saw I had a little gap.
Sure.
And I knew he would have to work by himself, because you know how it is when you sit 10 meters off, you're sitting there and it's a lot easier to pace. But at that stage it was maybe 20 meters, and I was like, okay, this is my chance, and upped the game slightly, took a bit of a risk in terms of the numbers, and just
transition to you roll into that, you know where you are, it's down to Frodeno to run. Did you just Frodissimo everyone?
First and all, I iced Frodissimo, because it was definitely one of those moments where I did one of my slower transitions intentionally. I'd always planned that just to really try and cool down, get some ice on board, and do all that, which showed, I think, T.O. transitioned a minute quicker than me.
Yeah, he did. He came back. I was quite surprised when you came around. I was like, he's actually etched into your lead.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, it was good though. I think it was the right move in terms of, just setting myself up for a marathon that I really want to run. I didn't want to survive the marathon. I wanted to run it, and I felt good coming off the bike. I hadn't overextended myself, and I was like, this is my chance.
So the run legs were straight away, no question asked. You had the run legs.
Yeah, I had the run legs. I actually went out in the first K. I ran in just under 3:30, and I was like, "Oh, geez, hold your horses here. This is too quick. This is way too quick." And that's probably the only, fault in hindsight. Where I ran the first 10K, I came through in about 35 minutes, just over. So that was definitely a touch too quick for ideal pacing. It was
a little bit different on Alley Drive. It's a bit shorter now than when you last started or completed the event. No problems in that whole section. It is roly-poly, and you just seem to be clipping along nicely, hydrating well.
Just feeling good, even on those little pinches. Not having too many difficulties, and just looking out for ice and trying to keep cool, and not get too fired up, because there are a lot of people there. It's a good vibe, and it's the first time you get to see everybody and look at everybody coming the other way, and just trying to stay present also, because it was feeling good. Saw the other guys weren't looking fantastic.
Yeah, they weren't coming at you.
But you got to make sure that you got to stop Hollywood in your head. You got to stop the movie, and you just got to stay here. And it's like, it's a long way to go, and a lot of stuff can go wrong.
Was the racing brain telling you to run the tangents, the shortest possible line? Was all that going to plan as well?
That was all going. I mean, I was looking for a few shady spots, which are few and far between here.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I was definitely looking for the shortest line always, yeah.
So at this stage, you think you've got the competition covered. There's one beast left out there, and that's the run course itself, the island. You hit Palani.
Hit Palani and went up there, but really managed to up my cadence, take small, short steps, and saw a few familiar faces up there, and again, just try to keep cool and really make sure that I get to the top and then roll my stride on the Queen K. I mean, that's the one thing I can do, those slight false flats, the descents. I've definitely got the run legs to up the pace there, and that's where I wanted to make up what I would most probably lose on Ardihi.
So there's one more element that's playing out behind the scenes, and that's called record.
Yeah.
When did that click? When did that sort of come into the psyche?
It didn't click at all until Thomas Hellriegel told me I need a 2:44 marathon to beat the record. And that was about K12, just before going up Palani.
Right.
I was like, oh, you bastard, really, I'm just in
Bang!
I'm just in my zone here. It's like, really? But of course, at that stage, it doesn't change too much because it's still such a long way to go. But truth be told, that my motivation only came about to beat the record because Patrick had pulled out.
Okay.
And it's not my favorite move, let me just put it politely. And the thing was that, therefore, the only way to go against him was a virtual race.
Sure.
And
so you're thinking this on the course?
Yeah. I was just thinking that, the way to do it, and it was so hyped up in Germany, and it was so talked about as finally we get to meet on the big island, and the day that it counts, everybody's in shape, everybody's ready, and this is the big one. This is where it'll be determined between the two of us.
Yeah.
Which I didn't agree with, but it's the way the media played it, and that's sort of where that motivation came from.
Well, you finally cracked the 2:42. Not a bad day out.
Yeah, definitely. It's I had good run legs, I have to say. I think for me to run quicker than that would definitely only be in a head-to-head scenario. When you really have to. Of course, there's always something left in the tank.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that's sort of the way it would pan out if there was an actual iron war.
You hit that last 200 metres.
What a feeling! I mean, elation. I have to say, the last 3 or 4K, I didn't get any more times because the lead card pulled off. So there was that always, you know how it is.
The unknown.
Like, really?
How
long is it exactly now?
Yeah.
I couldn't see the clock until the last sort of turn, and then I saw 2:05, and then it was 50.
Don't high five anyone. Yeah. Don't do it. Keep going. Keep going.
Definitely. And then I saw it was like high 50, and I was like, oh yes. And then it was remarkable because actually even during that last third of the marathon, I realized that I'm not sure I'm going to have another day like this in my life, and I do actually have to some point enjoy what's going on here, because it's been a bloody long career, and there's been a lot of work and a lot of great moments, but a lot of failure in there too, and it really felt like it was kind of a summary up until this point. And I'm glad I actually didn't think like, oh, damn it, I have to get through this last bit and then it's finally over. I was like, man, this is amazing. This is the last hour, and who knows if I'll ever feel this good again.
Yeah. When you cross that finish line, what's the relief like that all this work by yourself, by your family, by your team comes in?
Honestly, I think relief was the wrong word yesterday. There was just a kind of a gratitude, definitely, and just happiness to see a plan like this come together.
Sure.
We sat here exactly a year ago, and miserable as we were, wrote a letter of intent to say we're going to go and give everything for this day.
Yes.
And it really was exactly that, and that's where we kind of, that's what it was all about for us, and that coming together was a thing of beauty rather than a thing of relief.
When you have one of these days, does it stand out even in your own mind? It was a great day. Like if you look back 2008, the Olympics, you know, you looked last year with that 70.3, touted as the fastest 70.3 of all time, the greatest showdown of all time talent. You took care of most probably the strongest field we've seen here.
Yeah, it's every generation is going to have a strong field and strong days and all those kind of things, and it's the same thing with records. You know, I believe that records are there to be broken. Someone's going to break that record sooner or later, whether it's someone in our generation or the next. But of races. But I can definitely say that it's the first time ever that even during the race I realized that this is just a fantastic day, and I'm really happy with it now.
Well, Macra and I have been talking on the phone. His Highness and I have been talking, and we would rate it as most probably the greatest single day performance in this history of this event. You took it from the gun. You took it from the gun, mate. A big congratulations from all of us, and all I can say is B13, Jan Frodeno, King of Kona.